How does it feel leading a small, local, new bank?
The real impact of COVID to banking industry, to my understanding, maybe it will be seriously observed in the fourth quarter. Being registered at DSC was a good milestone on us.
How does it feel leading a small, local, new bank?
Being a banker for about 15 years, working in a regional and international bank, and also worked in one of the biggest local bank in the country. Moving to a new, as you said, small bank was a big challenge. But with a lot of experience which I have, I found to be one of a very interesting avenue for me to prove that the acquired experience, which I've been working over the time, I can seriously practice in the new, very newly formed bank in our local context. It's a real challenge, but it's a good trial to do for any aspiring leader. Because when you work in the already formed bank, you work on somebody's ideas and somebody's efforts, leadership structures, which you have already formed, they have already been formed. But when you establish a new bank, it means you are putting your own mark. Mm. And I'm happy and I'm glad that I was one of the very few managed talented, managed people in the country to work in the newly formed bank. And currently, I cannot say we are a new bank now because we have a number of new babies after us because we have been in the market for about 7 years now. So it is very interesting, and I have a lot I've learned through the journey, which I can also share my experience with other good members of the community who are looking forward to set up the experience in starting up a bank.
And I've noted that you were able to turn this small new bank into profitability just in second year. How did you do that?
Yeah, you're very correct. When the bank was being formed, in their first 5-year strategic plan, 2013 to 2017, the bank was aimed to be profitable in a third year. As you know, the banking is a bit of a huge investment business. But when we started in September 2013, we set up a very good strategy with a very good management team, and we had established a very good idealistic products which are easily consumed in the market. After assessing the gaps between the existing product in the banks and also the needs of the community, we managed to turn around the bank in the second year, as you said, because the first year the strategic plan was showing that the bank would in a loss of 1.2 billion. But in our first year, instead of getting a loss of 1.2 billion, we registered a loss of 281 million, which was almost a 1 billion cut from the expected loss. And in the second year, 2015, whereby we expected to have a loss of 200 million, instead the bank, we got a profit of 177 million net after tax. So those were the result after a serious investment in strategic plans, in putting up the serious team, in formation of a real product which were solving the need of the public. Mind you, as a small bank, you don't have a huge avenue to offer huge loans. So we started at a very small level, where we only started issuing loans to small group lending, which the other markets, they term as a high risk segment. But for us, we took a chance, and as we had started their mode of operations, and we took time to train them and give them skills on the business management, on how to keep records, on how even to manage their business to the sense that they can earn profits and still pay back their loans. And that segment actually was a real support to the bank to ensure that we attain the profit level in a second-year operations.
Was there any impact by being registered with the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange?
CSA, there is a significant impact. Even now, we are seeing our bank to be rated differently from other small banks in the country. As you know, being listed at Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange is one step forward because the trust with the investors is quite high. Because when you register at the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, it means you operate at a high transparent manner, and your corporate governance is highly managed, and of course you add up the regulatory compliance to your part. Instead of now we're looking ahead to see BOT, but now you add up another two compliance CS regulators, which are the Capital Markets Authority and the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange. So having the three strong regulators in the market, it has to make you change to once CSA complying bank, and you offer confidence to the investors. Now through that, when you visit customers, even though we were a new bank, we had a very good acceptance from them because they had a trust with the stock exchange in the country, and they understand the company cannot go to the stock exchange if it has not passed through some key criteria offered by or given by the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange and the Capital Market Security Authority. So we can say being registered at DSC was a good milestone on us.
Are your shares traded?
Of course, yes.
How are they doing in the market?
We have noted that the trading of our shares currently, in the meantime, is not very much active. But there are also reasons to that. It's not just because people don't want to buy them to sell them. To our understanding, people buy or sell shares with reasons. Coming out from the selling, people dispose shares with either they want to gain cash to solve their challenges, or people they want to get rid of the shares so that they can opt for other investment. But we feel that our shareholders are so loyal to their company, to the extent that they don't want to dispose their shares, their ownership in the bank. So rather, we have been noting some investors who are looking for the shares of our company, and they are approaching the bank to discuss on how they can invest in our bank. Because currently we also have avenue of selling shares still. So now you can get Maendeleo Bank shares through our direct branches, and also you can get the shares through the stock exchange, or rather through the authorized dealers in the country. To that extent, we can say that our shares are traded, but at low rates as compared to the initial stages, where now we had a number of investors who are looking to buy shares, but now many of them, they've already bought. So, and many of them, they are hesitating to release their shares.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So now that you are already operating now with this COVID pandemic situation, which is affecting business all over the world, how are you coping?
Yeah, it is challenging, really challenging, and it's a really challenging time for all business community in the world, not in the country alone. As we have observed the trend in the market, especially for banking industry, in the first quarter, because the COVID impact in our country was announced in the mid of March. So the shock was serious. The extent that by end of March, the number of issues were now started to worsen. In April, May, but we seriously thank the government through the effort which they took to calm the situation. And also, everybody is clear that the COVID in the country has seriously kept out, and we are almost free from that, even though we have to take precautions. But the real impact of COVID to banking industry, to my understanding, maybe it will be seriously observed in the fourth quarter of this year, and seriously in the next year, 2021. Because currently we are, yes, we are moving, and we are seeing business community, they are struggling, they are getting out of the trouble. We have a number of loans which have been restructured. So now if you have restructured loans in June or July, so you should not suspect the loan to be in a bad condition in the next 2 or 3 months. So you can be so sure to see the impact of the COVID to banking industry, so to speak, in fourth quarter in 2020 and first quarter of 2021.
So does that mean the good numbers that were posted by banks in the recent publications don't really reflect the actual situation, the actual impact of the COVID pandemic in our businesses?
Yeah, my observation may not really reflect the real impact, and it may be. It's different from, I cannot say all banks have the same, or even mine, but my read-through study which I've done, I think it also have been contributed by the restructuring impact. Because when you restructure loans, which maybe was in a bad position for the past 3 months, let's say, because when the loans is in arrears for over 90 days, it means the interest, you cannot generate the interest. It has to be suspended. Yes, it has to be suspended. So now, but when you restructure, it means you...
becomes current.
Yes, becomes current. So that's why I'm seeing the profitability of banks in the second quarter was significant. But it can also be not the good reasons. But my understanding could be that way. To make sure that every day I have at least 2 hours, 3 hours active time with my family.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Not only profitable, because insurance is stabilizing banking business.
Dr. Mwangalaba, working as a CEO, and especially in a bank, is always very stressful. And for many corporate executives, finding that work-life balance is always a challenge. How do you handle that?
I do agree, it's a little challenging, but you have to. I always manage it, though not consistently. I do have my private time, which I normally engage with my family to make sure that every day I have at least 2 hours, 3 hours active time with my family, discussing with them the family issues, chatting with them, praying with them. You know, I love praying with my kids, and I enjoy a lot. And when you find me at my home, you may not see that, believe that I'm the one who's sitting in the bank as the CEO, because I purely change. I normally change to be a real parent. So I love my kids, my family, but also I engage seriously on church issues. So part of my time, I devote much of the time to the church issues. But after working time, I normally go to the church most of the time, and also I enjoy farming a lot. So every Saturday of the week, I go to the shamba with my family. I normally go with the entire family at the farm. It's part of the picnic. So I enjoy spending my time after working hours in different activities. So it's really challenging work-life balance, but you have to, because otherwise the banking job is so stressful. Yeah.
So now, having been CEO for how many years now?
This is 7th year.
The 7th year.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself now, having started this bank? You've made it profitable in 2 years. You have been recognized for this achievement. You have been one of the best banks. As an award recognized by the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange.
Yes, twice actually.
Twice?
Yes.
Yes. So you're one of the best banks, small but well run.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We have been sharing on how we mentor young leaders. So it will be my time now to get out and leave the young to run the bank. I see myself to be engaged in the real farming with my own farm, my own activities.
In 10 years?
Yes, in 10 years.
Don't you think you still have enough energy to still running in the
bank,
corporate world?
my friend, banking job is so stressful. It needs a young generation, energetic people who can speed up the growth of the bank. I'm so sure that there's a real need of leaving the bank when you are strong enough. You can also support when you are out of the bank. You can even sit and see how the bank is progressing, and you can offer your guidance, your support to the young leaders who are in the bank. So I do expect to use big part of my time and work in a farm.
What if another bank comes calling? Can you become a CEO of another bank?
I think the best way to serve, maybe you can serve in the board, or you can offer consultants. But assuming the responsibility of CEOs, again, it's a bit stressful. But we cannot deny now, because anything can come with reasons. But if I to put myself in that track, I do expect to have a different life, because banking is really stressful.
If you were to look at the banking industry in Tanzania, where do you see it in probably in 5-10 years, the whole industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I respond to that, I have to thank the government of United Republic of Tanzania, led by our president, Dr. Joseph Pombe Magufuli, for the effort we have done and the success story which he have left in the country on moving the country's economy to middle-income economy. Which is a good start moving forward. Because currently, we don't have a big bank in our country which qualify to the status of a big bank in the world. I was reading one publication the last month which shows 1,000 big banks in the world. And I've not seen anyone from Tanzania. And that reflects the level of economy which can attract a bank to the sizable level to be recognized as the big bank in the world. But when our economy now moves to that level, to middle economy, it is signifying that our economy is growing. Which now, if the economy is growing, it means the bank have an avenue to grow to the level which can be recognized as one of the big banks there in the world. So I do believe there's a time when the banking sector in the country would be growing to that level. And there's a better stability, stable growth of banking in the country. There's a lucrative opportunity for banks to still keep on growing. If you were to go into literature, that almost 15 or so % of Tanzanians have a real bank account. Now, with the help of digital banking, it has boosted the financial inclusion. But having said that, the 15% of the Tanzanians having a bank account, it shows that there's a big room. If now banks expand, we create more digital-related products to reach the excluded parties or the community, the country. So it means we have a huge potential of growing our books, our assets to the level that the bank can reach to the extent of recognized to be one of the big banks in the world. So there is a potential, and I see that with the trend of growing economy of the country, we are seeing the macro economy growing through the massive investment which the government is putting on the infrastructure, which is the key to growth of any economy. So there is a real serious science of banks in the country to keep on growing.
I've noted that many banks in the country are moving into insurance business. Is it a profitable business for banks?
Not only profitable, because insurance is stabilizing banking business, because the banks insure our assets. Banks, currently, we have loans which we insure through the life insurance. Banks, they offer loans which are secured by chattel mortgage or landed properties, which for them to serve our customer. From now, let's say if a borrower has pledged his property to the bank, and unfortunately he dies. The old trend was the bank has to recover the money in any case, because the bank doesn't have money. It's a depositor's money, so it has to recover the money whether the borrower has died or not. Now, if the active borrower has died and the family cannot manage to run the business to the extent that they can pay their loans. So what the bank was doing now, they were resorting to the collateral, to the pledged security, which means the family house, to sell it. Now they've lost their family member and also they are losing their property. So now the banks have thought around that and decided now to make sure that all borrowers are insured against life. So when the borrower died, the bank doesn't bother to go to the property. It's now the liability shifts to the insurance. So that's why you see the banks, most of the banks now, they are moving to that. And we thank to the government through the TIRA, Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority, which last year they changed the policy through the establishment of bank assurance. Instead of the ordinary insurance policy, they moved to banker assurance, which now insurance services offered through the banking premises, as opposed to having the sales points, which were disputed across the country. Now, the bank assurance also is in the way banks can offer insurance services, because now we are able to engage 10 insurance companies, opposed to the former, which we are only limited to 3 insurance companies. So then the flexibility of our customers were very limited. So to me, it's a good avenue, because one, it also, the banks in non-funded income, but you are so sure that the properties you have taken as a collateral, they are properly insured.
Okay, and I guess the bank assurance also makes it easy for customers in the interior part of the country to access insurance, because now banks have branches in those areas, in the remote areas where most insurance companies couldn't have opened branches in those areas. I guess that was also one of the positive part of the bank assurance product.
Yes, you're right. And I also understand that insurance penetration in the country is low, around 2 or lower than 2%. So now you can see the insurance companies cannot move to the speed of attaining the level of a banking penetration to the public. So now leveraging on the banking network, it will accelerate the speed of insurance penetration in the country, which is a positive remarks to the government through the Tanzania Insurance Regulatory Authority. What
is your final remark on people who are watching you on this program and they feel, wow, we would wish one day to become CEOs like you are. What is it that they should do?
Yeah, it's great. There's no a clear formula into that, but everyone has to aim higher. But aim higher, you have to sacrifice yourself, and you have to be, honestly be committed, but also try to engage one of the successful leader to be your mentor. You can learn a lot through a discussion with one of the leader whom you inspire, or who reads in the industry which you expect or which you love more to be part of the industry. So I do encourage the young, especially, to want to be committed, to be decisive and honest, put much time into studying, reading, sharing the experience with people who matter in their career.